What should we do practically to take it to the next level? Anyone?
Okay. I think a lot has been said, and I would like to sum up, I mean, from my side, that the problem that we see in this country is too big, too huge, too multidimensional. To
That's
say
giving
that,
up.
Yeah. Microfinance can only do a bit. It cannot do all. It cannot be a substitute for good governance. It cannot be a substitute for good economic policies and efficient administration. It cannot be a substitute for commercial banking, for that matter. It cannot be, I mean, 70–80% of the population, just one single type of organization or one model cannot reach out to them all, I mean, at least in the next 5–10 years. So no matter how good is the organization, no matter how good is the model, one single institution or model, this challenge is too big and too huge for any single institution to tackle. So I think there is room for all sorts of experiments, all sorts of models, microfinance banks, Islamic banks, conventional banks, as is happening in the commercial banking industry. Also NGOs, also microfinance institutions which are not banks. So there is a plenty of room for all of them to make a contribution. All of these microfinance institutions, NGOs, MFIs, Islamic, otherwise conventional, whatever you call them, they serve 2 million customers, as I said. 2 million customers out of 25 to 40 million, different estimates put number at different, but at least 25 to 40 million eligible customers. They serve only 2 million customers, all put together. And commercial banks, as I said, only serve 500,000 business borrowers and 4.5 million borrowers. So we know the coverage is pretty poor. I mean, all financial institutions put together in the country. So I would say that we need to be humble. We need to realize that challenge is too big. We need to realize that there is room for every type of institution and movement to make a contribution. So let's each one of us, I mean, try to make whatever contributions we can make and hope that everybody else does the same.
You know, the topic of this discussion is poverty alleviation programs, vision and purpose. I've only got purpose so far. I haven't seen vision, actually, if you want to know the truth, because I feel that having talked to, heard all of you, what all of you have had to say, and looking around this room, and I see there's an economic powerhouse sitting here, and there's an ability to do a lot. I just want to know what the vision is to do it. What is everybody's vision to lift this country out of the morass it's in? I mean, you guys have the power to do it.
No, Tammy, if I would add something, ek to ye ki yes, the situation is very grim and one tends to, then fall into this trap of demotivation and negative. But there are many positive things about Pakistan as well. Fundamentally, if you look at it, we are natural resources wise, we are very rich. Which of course are untapped, but it's good. We have a population base which can have a consumer market that can be made for it. So, yes, we have some things going for us as well. And one big change that's happened, and you're part of that as well, is the media. And that makes a big difference why today now, with every town and village, you're getting a television, you're getting communication. They are looking at how the world is operating. They are talking to each other. There is discussions in the community, and what that will do one day is they will start asking questions. They will start to see, basically search for opportunities, and that will start to create a demand for things as well. Similarly, look at us. Now in the cities, you find a lot of, in many areas, saturation, and companies want to go into villages as well. They want to go in small towns as well. And that is creating, this connect with the rural areas. So I'm not very pessimistic about it. And I think media opening up and this microfinance picking up and, companies going in with these programs, plus the government realizing it as a focus, whether they have money or not, at least they understand poverty alleviation is a big thing that they need to do. I think all of this will start to add, and yes, it will take time, and yes, it's a tough battle, but I also think, it's a battle worth taking, and this is the time.
Yes, but I think, what Dr. Imran Ali was saying was something quite different. I mean, he was actually saying that you have all this, but it's concentrated in very few hands. And despite the fact that you have television and you have discussion, we still, even in periods of high growth, as you'll all read and I'm sure you all know, even in periods of high growth, poverty increases at the rural level, at the bottom. So how do we go from the bottom up as opposed from the top down?
You know, if you allow me to go back to the basic concepts, the point is that poverty is multidimensional. It's both hunger, it is illiteracy, it is vulnerability, it is absence of financial resources, many things. But we need to find a strategy which is overwhelming and which is also multidimensional. I totally agree that one organization cannot find the solution to poverty. But the basic question is that whether this capitalistic system, whether this neoliberal policies, or whether only the banks can alleviate poverty. If it is so, then why 2 billion people in this world are now poor? Why the gap between poor and rich is increasing? So the basic question is just increase in GDP or increase in growth or just creation of wealth is not the solution. There must be equitable distribution of the resources. Islam, totally puts its emphasis on creation of wealth and at the same time equitable distribution of wealth. So what is wrong we see as a social scientist, as a social worker and a volunteer, what I feel is that there has been more emphasis on creation of wealth and on GDP and on growth, but the distributive mechanism is not there. That's the basic reason that why poverty is so rampant. And one thing more I would like to highlight, the concept which we have presented on the platform of Ukhuwat, that is not a charity. Because we also believe that you cannot eliminate poverty only by doles or by beggary or by charity. The concept is Qarz-e-Hasana. And a Qarz-e-Hasana is not a charity. You are giving something to somebody to start a business and then getting the same amount of money. And then if he is working well, if he's doing well, if he's able to harness his or her potential, then he is inspired to contribute more according to his or her wish. So this point I would like to clarify that whatever we are doing is not a charity, is not a dole. It is another way of supporting through a mutual support system, because Qarz-e-Hasana is also something which our Holy Prophet emphasized, and it is a way forward to give somebody to stand on his or own feet. So I would like to conclude that basically we need to see that whether the poverty can be alleviated only through capitalistic or neoliberal policies, or there is a room or space for self-denial, for sacrifice, for sharing, for mutual support.
Yeah. I mean, just to add, if I can.
1 second. The poverty, the redistribution of wealth is also done through tax. And unfortunately, we're not good at that either. But I want to bring Dr. Imran Ali here, if you don't mind. Maybe you could expand a little bit more on, you talked about how we got here, but what is the vision, what could be the vision going forward? I mean, how do we attack this problem right at its root?
Okay, I think that's quite challenging, but look, how we got here, first we've got to understand that. And I don't think the history's been right. The history's been all warped. It's been packaged in a very third-rate way. We haven't even learnt about our history. But set that aside. The problem now we have, I think, is, and we're running out of time for that, because the demographics and the regional linkages and then even the global movements of power or whatever, they're turning adverse for us. I think what we've got to realize is that we must develop the capability for reform, for change, for improvement, for transition, for filtering out what we don't need anymore. Our big problem is that we want to keep being invested in the past. We are too comfortable with the past, and we're too scared of the future. And therefore we want to retain all of our failed culture. This is a culture that failed basically 300 years back. It stopped delivering. That's why we went down. But we have this scary thing. First of all, we have to develop the capability to change our institutions. unfortunately, over 60 years of malpractice and authoritarianism, the state structure has gone sick. And the private sector is